Through the grim darkness of the far future, the 42nd Millennium, hanging idly, a lone dust ball sits on the dark half of the Imperium of mankind, threatened ineffably by a calamity it cannot see, an uncoiling hydra of many heads, many plans, many schemes, all of which convene around this one place, around these four people. And thus, as the stars await and the warp screams, we all wonder what they will do. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, all my friends of the internet, and welcome back to such a long time to By a Shadow of Peace, our Wrath and Glory epic. This is Neon Lights Roleplay, and I'm Foxy, your host of Duration and Stream, and I have with me four incredible individuals, four wonderful role players, four inquisitive souls dedicated to his holy ordo, here to root out corruption, heresy, and tyranny wherever it can be found, except the kind that's, the one they support, because Warhammer's really fucked up setting. But before I get on the political ramble, I should introduce my guests. They're all wonderful people, and I'll let them tell you who they are and who they're playing tonight and what they've got going on before things get a little bit more serious. So, starting off with the squad's, let's say, heavy metal, heavy muscle, and heavy zealotry. I'm, of course, talking about the internet station, the one and only Turk accent, and my best buddy.
Oh, would have been great if you said Meg.
I mean, honestly, we've done that before, where I thought I applied for every single one, but no. It's just because my relationship with Foxy is so complex and multi-layered. Anyway, hey everybody, I am Turk, or Turk Accented, if it should please the Emperor, and I am returning to your screens yet again to play Zadkiel Zelos, and Astartes of the Lamenter chapter, who stalemated his last fight against a really good duelist, and you know what? I think that counts for something. If you tie the champions in an off-season game, you take that as a win. You take that scoreboard picture and you hang it up on a wall somewhere. All right? I've been to small schools like that. Anyway, really excited to be back with a full cast and crew. So, let's keep sending that good times around.
Absolutely. Speaking of sending good times around, let me swing it over to another lovely and wonderful friend of mine who I think is absolutely enjoying the ringer that I'm putting her through in this campaign. Let's see if that holds up in the last act of it. And my darling Michelle, how are you?
Hi. 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 I'm Michelle. I'm playing Aria Yun Contour, our sister hospitale, Sisters of Battle. And, we're dealing. Yeah, we're okay, maybe we're not dealing, but we're, it's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing can go wrong.
Some might even say you're dealing with demons. It's me. I would say that personally. I would be the one to say that actually, but that's because there's a literal demon in your stomach. But we'll get to that in a little bit. No spoilers. Speaking of people who I put through the ringer, a recent parable realized for me that if I could take the number of times that I have not only murdered this person's partner in character, but then put them inside of a rock, and I had a nickel for every time of it, I'd have enough to buy myself a piece of candy. And I do so love candy, which is why I think Meg is so sweet. You know, I did that. Hi, Meg. How are you? Oh, my Meg is muted.
If I had a nickel, I'd have 2 nickels. It's not a lot, but it's pretty weird it's happened twice. It's probably gonna happen more times, and I will have my revenge. But, hi everybody, I'm Meg or Meg Mysteria, and I'm bringing back Lara Talone, or, well, her name is Edelvara Talone. And she's existing. She's, trying to help piece together this mystery. And she's met a new little friend. Emphasis on little, she is a child. Who's, figuring out that she's got psychic powers. This can be a problem.
If I had a nickel for every time that after taking away Meg's partnering character, I thrust the responsibility of parenthood on them, I'd have 2 nickels,
I'd have 2
which,
nickels.
which isn't a lot, but it's weird that that keeps happening. Seems like we have a thing going on here. I gotta update my tropes.
Foxy, please.
It's fine. I'm trying my best out here. But nonetheless, Turk said it best. We are pleased, blessed, and favored to once again have a full table, to have the entirety of our Bipedal Peace family back at the table one more time. And with that, it gives me nothing but the most undescribable pleasure to reintroduce or introduce, if you haven't had a chance so far, to you, the incredible, the incomparable, the one, and the only, Land the Dead.
Hey, that's me. I'm fucking back. And I'm gonna make this everybody else's problem. But yeah, that's me. I'm Len the Dan, and tonight I'm playing Barris Corbin, local desperado, source of on-the-ground intel for our Inquisitional squad, and current errand boy, but that's what happens when you have real-life stuff going on. But yeah, I am in for a fucking shock when I get back with all the supplies that were on my grocery list, and find out that there's a fucking big hole in the warp that's about to open, and we don't know where it is.
It's literally just that one scene from Community where you walk in with the pizza and everything's on fire. Except it's already been on fire the entire time, you just didn't know it. Which is worse, somehow.
Oh, one of those like
However,
invisible flames. Yeah.
exactly, the invisible flames. Well, point of the matter is, I am so very glad to see that we have you back, Dan. And I cannot wait for you to talk to your friends about all the horrible things you've missed and how much I've hurt them in your absence. I mean, what? Anyway, with that said and done, friends, I'm Foxy. I play everyone that's not these 4 incredible people, which mostly means I do a lot of background scheming and cackling and occasional using my evil villain monologue voice, which is really fun.
Let's
But
be
I won't
real,
do that for now.
cackling's in the foreground.
It's true. It's true. It's a lot of foreground cackling. I can't even lie about that. You called you just kind of called me out there. It's true. Nonetheless, we settle back in to the low, dusty plains of Kata-2. When last we left our party, the sun had slowly crept to an early afternoon when a visitor made their way upon the, let's say, camp of our erstwhile inquisitive souls. Many things were revealed, many truths unraveled, all of which are a bit of a mystery to one Barris Corbin. Barris, a man who could only be described as salt of the earth before air, a worldly person, focused and grounded, thrust into a world so far beyond himself, but always holding that same calm composure. It feels right that we start with you. Following a satchel of goods and supplies that you've traded, bartered, smuggled, or straight up stolen. Not really important to know that until we get there. You slowly make your way to the shack that your fellow acolytes have called home. And for there, you come across, well, as you enter the doorway, you see Zadkiel standing there, guarded, not facing the doorway, but facing inside. You see Lara, you see Aria, and you see another figure, a young human girl, buried about halfway into one of the crates Aria was using to make for a makeshift table, her head picking up, and her eyes staring widely directly at Lara. The 2 of them appear to have been speaking for some time. Your initial reaction, returning to see the scene, was feeling the strange, almost revealing tension that you notice as you come across Barris. It's that immediate reaction you get as you walk back here.
Is this a spy we found in our midst? He says this too, Zad.
Not so. Small girl. I have heard some of the conversation. I believe she may be a psyker. She is concerned that someone is coming for her. A pause.
Wait. Someone. Camera. There we go.
Laura is speaking with her further. She will have the truth of the matter eventually.
Can I guess I'm going to think to Laura since she doesn't talk. Or is the Skype call open?
Never closed, baby.
Skype call's
So,
always
end
open.
call.
Who's our
Call never ends.
our data charges are insane.
Yeah.
Who's our
This bill's
friend?
never getting paid.
The Warp 5 bill is crazy today.
A warfight. Who's our friend here?
And before you answer, let's have the camera shift and follow you for a little bit. The camera comes around to you, Laura, who have you gotten closer to this young charge in the time in the few minutes between first encountering her and Virus arriving? Or are you still kind of keeping your distance?
Um, She'll gauge it by taking a step. Kind of be closer.
She does not fear to flinch or recoil from you. In fact, the only expression she really outwardly gives towards you is curiosity, a sort of welcome curiosity. Again, like that moment of seeing someone who, even though you don't really know it, you know that they at least kind of get you. It's a feeling you get, well, at least sometimes when in the presence of other tigers, especially human ones.
She's not gonna push it too much to begin with. In talking with her, because she still seems pretty she still probably seems pretty on edge still.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not gonna try to get her to come out and talk her into trying to come out of the crate or like interacting with the others because she's still pretty tense.
Mhm.
But she's still gonna try to talk to her. I'm trying to remember where we left off in the conversation.
Pretty much mostly left off on you describing sort of like that you knew that she would be dealing with a lot of fear and unassuredness as she began to figure out more of what she was. That's not where we left off, and we'll say that it's a few minutes past that initial moment, and there's a few things that have happened here, and I'll kind of like let you sort of jump back in, having learned a few things. One, the little girl, human age is weird. It's hard to gauge, obviously, for you given the difference in scale, but she's young, early school age, very early into her adolescence. She's not even considered any consideration of adulthood yet. Very young. You know that in a world like this, that means she'll probably be put to work in either the mines or the manufactory rooms in maybe the next few years. But that's an unfortunate reality of the way the Monkai choose to operate their societies. Who are you to judge them, except you do all the time? However, more important than that, the little girl who you've learned from the few minutes of bear talking you've gotten, goes by the name Selah. Selah Farzan is her name. Is completely untrained. She has never had any understanding of what a psyker is. In fact, if you've at any point said that word to her, it didn't register. But while you take a while to figure out her messy, translucent soul, it doesn't take you very long to at least put a categorization to what her abilities are, what nascent abilities she's tapping into. You can see the way she almost isn't always looking directly at you or really anywhere. The way her mind occasionally just seems to go somewhere else vividly. The way it seems like she can piece together fragments and reflections, pieces of things that haven't happened, won't happen, might happen.
Oh,
It's divination. Other than that, the only thing you can mostly tell is that she's been dealing with this for most of her life. Mostly just nightmares and occasional, panic attacks. Nothing as intense as today until today. For the most part, is all you've learned about her.
Selah, can you tell me more about what you saw today? Who was chasing you?
He takes a moment, clearly trying to see, to perhaps put the divination back in her mind. But you, if anybody else here, knows that the seed of the skein of fate is not an exact science. It is difficult for the most talented of Farseers using the most potent of divination tools in complete meditational focus. For an untrained human psyker barely out of their childhood, it's a wonder she's even able to hold images of what she sees still after her visions. But she tells you, I remember eyes, piercing red, blinding in the darkness, heavy footsteps, loud like earthquakes, hands cold and gripping all about me, pulling me into the darkness. I wanted to scream, but something was suffocating me up here.
Or anything else?
That's all I can see. Whenever I try to think about it, it's like trying to hold water in your hands. Everything just slips away. I'm sorry.
Don't be. It's a wonder that you can hold on to that image at all.
Am I a freak?
No, you're just different.
And how long have you been different?
All my life.
He looks at you as if trying to weigh the weight of that statement and not being able to properly fathom it. As if something in your eyes portrays an experience that seems inhuman to her.
been a long time, and you're going to be carrying the same thing. This is something that you're going to have to train and focus on. I know
She
that's something
nods.
that's really hard to comprehend at this age.
She nods slowly. Again, not fully understanding the weight of what you're saying, but understanding that there is weight to it, no less. In the way a child can never fully grasp the words said to them by an adult spoken in years of experience, but can understand that there is experience there. He listens and nods, still trying to, you can tell in her eyes, hold glassy pictures of the things she sees. She almost begins to mumble to herself. Red eyes, thundering footsteps, cold hands, suffocating. Just repeating that to herself. Let's use this moment to kind of pull back and bring the rest of the squad in. Fellow acolytes, you've all been, yes, I imagine, subject and witness to this conversation. You're all gathered back as one. Barris is with you all, and you've some truths to unravel. How about I leave you all to that, yeah?
To circle back around and answer Ferris's question, her name is Sela. She's a budding psyker. She got a vision that she was going to be kidnapped and ran to us because I believe she sensed me. She got the impression that
You okay? You rattled off mid-sentence there.
did I? Or did it cut off? Because that was probably just a mic issue.
So she's a future kidnapping target, huh?
Possibly.
And a psyker. What are the odds?
Well, that's what I believe we've pieced together, is that all of the kidnapping victims were budding psychers. I had a memory of one of the names that I recognized. Another girl who had also realized that she was a psyker.
So someone's gathering up all untrained psychers all in one place?
Somewhere indeed. Or spread out, but to only attack us with singular agents, we must suspect their numbers are small.
Well, their small numbers still managed to do this to us, so
Veteran.
forgive me if I'm not reassured.
I do not ask you to be reassured, but it does give us clues. The capacity to hold multiple people, if they were spread out across the planet, it would require multiple members. A small contingent could possibly betray that all of the abducted have been brought to one singular location.
And by that same logic, they couldn't be abducting people from all over the planet either.
Abductions have been happening quite frequently and across the planet, but this is a group that seems to be able to pull themselves out and reappear quite to their own will. A troubling ability. If they moved quickly enough and were unseen, I suppose they could be anywhere. I'm not certain how your combat fared, but ours was simply able to morph into the shadows and through some psychic trickery to depart.
How long a question, sorry. How long ago was the memory of the girl that I had met?
You met Ptolemy. I want to say, I feel like I gave a number last session, but I forgot what that number was. So I'm going to thank you, Michelle. 5 years ago. I see you over there.
Appreciate you, Michelle.
Thank you, Almighty Emperor.
The kidnappings have been going on for at least several years. So the ones doing this have patience. And they have a means of keeping them under control.
Sounds pretty high level. I turn to look at Zad and Aria. This sound like it could be anyone you're familiar with? Don't think we're dealing with some local criminal enterprise here.
I was able to confirm. Right, I'm remembering this right. Yeah, I was able to confirm they're in Astartes, a traitor chapter known as the Alpha Legion.
And does this sound like their MO? Patience operating over years for some ultimate goal?
To even attempt to know their goal, even while they were loyal, I think would take the Emperor's wisdom and insight. Their entire prerogative is clandestine activity. The fact that we've even seen them wearing full colors and attacking us in the open is somewhat shocking to me. They must be confident, which means they must be nearing the end of whatever scheme they have cooked up, and believe we cannot stop it.
How are they keeping so many untrained psychers unheard through warp? And just as a question to the GM, like, would I know sort of like logistics around any sort of like care and keeping of psychers?
Oh, Michelle, can you make me a scholar roll real quick? Because there's an answer that you would know. How well you know that the answer might... This might save you guys so much work depending on how this roll goes. I'm just going to keep it a sec with you.
Pulling up a little book. What to do when you're expecting a psyker.
What to do when you're
What to
expecting
expect.
What to expect when they know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I got
Page 1,
2 on the
heavens,
regular and then a 6 on the wrath.
That's
So
not
that's 4 total icons?
4 total icons.
Aria. You grew up among the Scala Progenia. You were raised there. Everything about you, everything that was taught into you was taught there. You don't remember much if any, of any childhood you would have had before you were brought there. If at all, you might have even been born in the Scala you were raised in. Not my call. However, you did learn many things. Chief among them, the three primary enemies of the Imperium: the alien, the heretic, and the witch. Of course, Spiker is to be feared amongst all, not because they are simply dangerous, because they are uncontrollable. Psychic power cannot be properly chained. You've heard tales, you've read stories of young, nascent psychers simply trying to explore the barest, briefest bits of their power, dooming their entire worlds, if not worse. As far as the Imperium says, there are really only a couple destinations for a psyker. You can be sanctioned, put into either the Militarum or somewhere else to be used as an actual battle psyker, or, more often, if you aren't simply fed to the Golden Throne to keep the Emperor alive for another day, you are bound, taken by the black ships in your youth, blinded, your soul chained to the Emperor's throne, made into an astropath, a being whose sole purpose is to project your psychic dreams across space so that the Imperium can communicate. It's quite literally how the phone lines work effectively in this intergalactic empire of yours. The only way you know to maintain a nascent rogue psyker, well, would be to blind them, to turn them into an astropath. In fact, there's really only one kind of facility or place you know that would have the kind of thing necessary to store and contain the raw, nascent essence of an untrained psyker. Any guesses on what that might be?
A strong marriage.
No, but I'm going to guess the astropathic stations.
You're guessing correctly.
This rogue legion, the Alpha Legion, would they have access to the astropathic stations?
I imagine no door would be kept locked to them for very long should they wish it to be open. They know the inner workings of the Imperium.
Out of character, you also, Zad, as per your conversation with the Inquisitor last episode, know that K2's astropathic way station is currently down.
Mm.
Whether it was brought
That's
down for
right.
routine maintenance, taken offline by rogue warp storms, or attacked, well, that's what you don't know.
Additionally, there is no current investigation into the astropathic way station over KD2 being down, at least as of yet, according to Brimrose.
It's down, you said.
Precisely. And no formal investigations have been put forward to explore this. It could be a simple matter of maintenance. But with the possibility of the Alpha Legion, I leave nothing to chance.
Because the only method that I know that keeps the psyker alive besides sanctioning one is to take them to the astropathic station. And if they've been disappearing, and we are... Lara, Have you sensed any large concentrations? Because we cannot yet rule out that perhaps these disappearances are merely actually just a question to the GM. If when the black ships come to pick up psychers, is that like a thing that like, it's a is that like a well-known thing or
There are records of it. Yes. It's a tithe that happened. It's very, very, black box off the books type shit. Not the kind of thing you're gonna like, have a big parade about and everyone like your random person will know, but there would be governmental records of when black ships appear and who they take.
can I pull out any do I have a data pad so I can cross-reference to see if any of the psychers that have been taken were part of the black ships, or if any black ships have arrived in the last 5 years?
Michelle, I could kiss your face right now. I'll save you the trouble. You do, in fact, have that record, mostly because you managed to get those records from when you met Kata Nursolv and coordinated getting those records from her. So pulling up your governmental database of records and cross-referencing the kidnappings, you find the strangest thing. Black ships don't visit planets consistently. It's not like a record, like a cycle thing. But there's usually some frequency to it. And you're looking through the logs. And the last black ship that was recorded to have made anchor over Kata 2 is documented as one. The name of the ship is Impera Obscura is the name of the warship. It docked over Kata 2 about 8 years ago. And the weirdest thing is, you can't find a record of its departure.
No, that's... It should have left. We should have had at least a couple more black ships around. The last ship that arrived was the Impera Obscura, and it hasn't left. Which... have I seen? Did I see which station it happened to have been docked at?
So, black ships normally. So of course, it docked at high anchor at the standard starport, which most ships dock at for Kata 2 before they make into one of the 3 spaceports on the planet, which is natural, of course. So you have a record of where it docked. Before I give you a second answer, Ferris, insight roll for me real quick.
I have no idea what's going on here. That's in character, by the way. Insights.
I believe you have 2 points in it by default.
Let's see. So that's a 6. Alright, so that is 3 icons.
Perfect. With 3 icons. You definitely don't have a grand clue of what's going on around here, which is fine. But the name Impera Obscura...
I look like I know what an astropathic way station is.
I'd someone clip that. The name Impera Obscura does trick something for you. Your cousin, a while back, he worked supply ships in the system around Kata 2. Older guy, pretty salt of the earth dude, just like yourself. And he used to tell you all the time about like the ships he would encounter on his supply runs. And it's funny because you haven't talked to him in years. It's hard to keep in touch when someone works in interstellar space, obviously.
Right.
But the last time you got in touch with him was about 9 years ago, and he mentioned that his crew had just come across two really interesting Imperial pattern ships. One, pure black, in a model he'd never seen before. And another that was sensor ghosting them for weeks. And you hadn't heard of him since then. You also remember him mentioning this weird thing about a friend of his who got really sick once, started growing this weird shit on his forehead, but that just kind of randomly pops in your head.
Okay, add a character. What is sensor ghosting?
Basically means that when you have a signal that's pinging on like the edge of your sensor sweep, but you don't have visual confirmation of a ship. It basically means the ship can be passing far enough away that you could see it on your sensors, but like not have visual confirmation. And or it could just be like magic radiation from like a prior ship passing that's reflecting and picking up on your sensors. Most people treat it as like if it's happening for like a couple days, it's like it's just nothing. It's probably just a malfunction. Multiple weeks, it's either your sensors are pretty fucked or someone's following you.
Someone's following you. What'd you say it was called? The Imperius Obscura?
The Impera Obscura. It is it's a black ship. One of the ships that they used to take psychers in order to train them as astropathic navigators.
Brain is crazy given what they actually do to astropaths, by the way. I'm just saying. That's a crazy euphemism.
Imperius Obscura. Where have I heard that before? I know that name from somewhere. Shit, I know where I've heard it. I got a cousin. He works in interstellar shipping. I haven't seen him in a while, but like years and years ago, he mentioned coming across a ship with that name. There was one other thing he mentioned. It was another. Around the same time, he mentioned he saw another Imperial pattern ship, and it was sensor ghosting him. You guys know what that? You guys know about that? Like when you like it pick when like like if it's a couple days, then it's just a blip on the system. But this was ghosting him for weeks. Someone was following him when that black ship showed up. That was 9 years ago.
The Impera Obscura docked here 8 years ago and hasn't left since.
The Imperial
Sounds like
Obscura ever touched down.
Black ships don't enter orbit.
Did anyone from it ever come down?
Charles, there are records of people who were taken by the black ships on a perfectly routine thing. You can see it on your records, in your records, Aria. It seemed like it was a perfectly routine pickup, except it never registered its departure. And, well, not too long after that, it lines up with a certain spike in kidnappings.
So the black ship docked. We get some record of official.
What's the security detail like on a black ship?
None of you have any idea.
Would I know anything about the sisters who accompany black ships? Or no?
You know a bit about them. The rumors, at least. Of what are called the Silent Sisterhood. An imperial order. Entirely femme, like yours. But with a rare exception. Every single one of them. Psychic blanks. Nulls in the warp. Their very presence not only nullifies psychic power around them, it actively harms psychers around them. They're also a pretty elite order of warriors. So not the kind of thing that could just be taken over by some random pirates. But I don't know. Maybe a well-trained Astartes strike force.
Is there a likelihood that the ship that was sensor ghosting wasn't necessarily going after your cousins?
I mean, Imperial black ship in the area versus your run-of-the-mill freight traders, like.
Well,
I mean,
I'm saying
I know
is,
which is the more valuable target. Like,
what if that was when the Alpha Legion came in?
it's like you read my mind.
And then their target
Did
was actually
you?
the black ship.
The rumors I've heard, the Silent Sisters are formidable warriors. They hurt
So are
Psychers
you.
just being around them.
Aria, you're a formidable warrior too. Look what one of them did to you.
We will need better equipment. At the very least, I will require a replacement for my bolt gun.
What did Brimrose have to say?
I believe we're getting an armored team sent down. Yeah.
Yep.
He is sending down a team to repair my armor. If we act quickly, we might be able to add more to this request. As it stands, being functional might be the best I can offer, but I'd hope for more. You all lack sufficient defenses against those warriors, though.
What's the best armor you can get for someone who doesn't have Imperial training? Put me down for one of those.
This sounds like it might be getting towards the time for us to start making some influence checks to get our stuff, huh, friends?
Yeah.
So, here's how we're going to handle this. Thankfully, I went ahead and read the rules for how this works, so I'm going to let you guys know how this works, but we're not going to do it just yet. We're going to have you figure something out. We're going to sort of let you guys sit in that moment as you all appear to have finally figured out the who's who, the whodunit, and the timeline of how all this seems to have unfurled. There's really only about one question left to unravel, it feels like. You know where Psychers are being held. You know where the Sons of Truth seem to have laid their nest. The question is, how the fuck do you plan on getting off this dust ball and up into the stars onto that station? I'll let you all marinate on some ways to think about it. But let's be honest, you've got a couple. But as you figure that out, we'll give our cast and crew just a few minutes to get things figured out, and we'll be right back with you all in just a few. Don't go anywhere. And after a brief pause to consider their fates, recognizing that they must prepare to arm themselves for the challenge of fate that awaits them, we return to the scene of our acolyte. Apologies for the long break, friends. We had to do some shopping. Welcome back to By a Shadow of Peace. Where we last left off, our acolytes have finally figured out the true cause of things. The Impera Obscura, a black ship gone rogue, harrowed, pirated, overtaken by the Sons of Truth. And with it, their true goal, the astropathic way station, and the horrors they will wrought with their kidnapped psychers within. Knowing this, our acolytes have prepared to ready themselves. Thankfully, they have a few things backing them up. One, savvy local who has connections and a few people who we can line the pockets up to get some things. Two, the benefit of the Imperial Inquisition's budget behind them for whatever they have to purchase. And 3, their charming good looks for whatever fails them in those other 2. That said, my friends have decided to tell me what they're going to do. So, friends, as I call you out, you've already let me know what things you want to know. So go ahead and either make your roll, or as I call you, or if you've already made it, let me know what you roll, and then tell the audience what thing you've tried to get, and we'll talk about how that thing happened as we move forward, as we make that happen. Actually, you know what? Just say that you got what you got, and we'll talk about how you got it later. Let's start with Eris, our hometown hero. What you picking up?
I've got my eye on a nice little stub cannon to give me a bit more range in a firefight.
Click, boom.
All right, so you said it's influence plus keywords matched after the first, plus however much wealth we want to spend on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the wealth. So you spend the wealth after the roll. That should give you extra icons, like rather not extra die.
Okay. All right, so I got 2 matching keywords, so that's 1 extra die. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Got
1
me
icon.
there. All right. Well, so you're spending 2 wealth then?
2 wealth. Yep. Oops.
All right.
You're done.
Barris, I think what we can have a brief montage is as you were out in town working on gathering up supplies and things earlier in this episode, you came across an old smuggler friend of yours, a gun runner who handles various intel. You normally just go to for information. So you pop by, share a drink, maybe a quick smoke, and pat some info. And as you were headed out, he said, "You sure I can interested in any purchases? Got some good hardware in." And you were, "No, thank you." And you turned to walk away. And just as you turned, a certain piece over on the wall caught your eye. You looked over at that stub cannon, and you looked back at your friend, and the look in his eye told you that he knew he already made a really good sale. Let's say you walked out of there, pockets a little bit lighter, but arms way, way heavier. That said, let's slide over next to our psyker extraordinaire. Lara, what you working on? We haven't frozen Lara for a bit. Yes.
Oh.
Hello. You were both frozen for a bit there on my end.
Oh, was I?
Yeah,
I'm back
but you're
now.
back now. That's all that matters.
Okay. So, Lara scopes for a bit for something that she thinks might be helpful or a bit of an upgrade, but isn't really finding anything that can kind of outclass what she already has. And it's especially and she's especially not gonna find anything that's Aldari anyway. And she doesn't think it'd be worthwhile at this point to pay a visit, to travel out and pay a visit to Trazen.
You sure about that?
There's a debate, but she's right now, the dice say no, it's not worth it. Right now. But she does know that with the ambush and the fighting the fighting in combat that's been happening recently, Varus and Zadkiel have gotten low on ammunition for their weaponry, so she's gonna pick up some ammunition.
All right, then. Stopping by any local arms manufacturer. On a planet like K2, there are plenty of places where one who feels a little bit threatened, like everyone does, can get their hands on a simple piece and some ammo for it without too many questions asked. Simple roll to get your hands on some ammo, and we'll assume how'd that go?
3.
Breaks perfectly done. Not a problem. You're able to sneak by, briefly reapply your human guide, grab some ammo, and bring it back to the gang. let's slide over to our brave and bold Astartes. Sarzathiel, what you in the mood for?
I'd like a plasma gun, please. I need something.
Friends who watch In His Divine Name are getting flashbacks right now, and I hope they are, because I'm happy about it.
Have never done anything wrong when given a powerful launcher of hot plasma. At least
I just missed my rooftop buddy.
rooftop buddies.
Oh.
But allow me to make an influence roll, which I will undoubtedly not do particularly well at, because why would I? Yeah. Oh my God! I rolled 0.
Oh no.
I rolled 0 icons.
How much money do you got?
3, which gets me halfway there.
He needs 3 more wealth. Anybody want to chip in a loan to our dear broke Astartes over here?
We'll give you some.
I'll give you some.
Through the power of
That's-
friendship, I've been given a weapon.
So I assume that's 2 from Lara, 1 from Varys?
Yeah.
All right, then. It takes some effort. And by that, I mean it takes a lot of the 3 of you reporting into Brimrose directly and sort of like through some very coded
Some haggling.
click channels, some haggling, some
Please
very,
give
very
me a
direct.
plasma gun.
Please,
give me
please,
a
please,
plasma
please,
gun.
please. Eventually, the servo maintenance team does arrive to repair and work on your armor, Zadkiel, and they come with a small Imperial Aquila sealed chest, which they open, and a hiss of steam opens to show, like in Space Marine, you unlock a new weapon, you just plasma gun, beautiful and primed and ready for you, already searing blue in energy.
Perfect.
I believe that just leaves us with one faithful sister.
And this sister will be attempting to obtain a sacrosanct shield.
I have a thing planned for this already, so I really hope this roll goes well. So tell me what you go ahead and roll for that, please.
Wait, do I just give you the details or?
Make the roll.
Alright, here we go. I have 3 matching, so it's +2 bonus die.
Mhm.
That is 1 plus 2 is 3, and I'll spend the last 3 of my wealth to get to.
So then, here's what happens to you, Aria. It's later in. Actually, you know what? Aria, how about this? You got the roll. You don't have your shield yet. Trust me. Okay? We'll get there. Just walk with me. Walk with me. We'll get there, okay? Walk with me. I'll make it worth your while, I promise. All right. So, with rolls to acquire gear made, and keeping in mind that Laura, you still have your 1 roll to make, and there is still the free one that I gave the party, which I gave them in the downtime. So you guys still have 2 rolls left, as long as you are in a place where it makes sense for you to be able to acquire gear of some kind, meaning you aren't literally on the station. You can make 2 more rolls to get stuff if you need to. So hold that in mind as you're in your future travels.
Also, I did not.
That
roll for
said-
ammo, so that's 3.
Oh yes, you also didn't roll for ammo, so you also have your ammo roll as well. You're fine. Good call. Thank you for that. That said, let's center back in on the scene of our friends here. The 4 of you stand, armored in faith, in resolve, and in camaraderie. Thinking of the challenge ahead, young Sayla stares. For the first time in so long, she does not see a myriad future in front of her. She seems perfectly in the moment, looking at the 4 of you, silently watching in the corner. Acolytes, you have a mission. You have a target. The only thing you don't have is a way to get there. I'm gonna pass the scene back over to you guys. Shut the fuck up for a while, and let y'all have some fun with it. Go on.
Stepping in, getting reset into the armor. I imagine some repairs needing to be done externally, like knowing where he fits into it. We will have a fine welcome for our fallen brethren. Should this head taker think he could best me twice, he will be sorely mistaken. Have you all prepared yourselves for a more heavily armored foe? No mere ganger is in our future.
Yeah. Really getting me out of my comfort zone here. But I got a question. They're all the way up there. How do we get there?
We could procure a ship. We are in well with the administration of this planet. Certainly.
I was thinking the same thing.
Additionally, Aldari raiders were launching from the spaceport. Arcturus spaceport, to be precise. Do we believe one of their ships may yet remain? That might offer us an advantage if we are otherwise unknown or unrecognizable to the foe.
Were there any ships in the hangar when we were there?
So that's the question. There were not any shuttles actively docked, at least no like actively ready ones. There's possibly one or two you could get running with enough time and some repair work if you paid off someone to get one functioning. There are, of course, 2 other spaceports if you wanted to just go try your hand at stealing one. I mean, that's an option.
We've also got ins with the enforcers and some of the local politicians, not to mention certain criminal elements. I imagine one of them might be able to get a ship if we ask real nice.
We could attempt to call the Inquisition, loath as I am to risk our reports being tracked.
I'd say if we can make this work without risking letting them know we're coming, we'd be better off for it.
Then not the Inquisition. We're not sure how many of our potential allies might be watched.
Would one of the criminal elements that we have become somewhat acquainted with have access to off-planet transportation? Those would likely be outfitted with ways of remaining undetected.
Well, there's no harm in asking.
You're muted.
Chris, if you're talking, you're muted.
Oh, I thought I unmuted myself and then I remuted myself. That's funny as hell.
I
Yes,
couldn't tell
will
if you were
say-
just like popping off like to yourself.
You know, we'll do that sometimes. It does happen. But Ferris, I
Exactly,
will
yeah.
say you should know that, or you would know that most criminal elements on Kata 2 are not the kind of operation big enough to be handling their own interstellar transportations or like extraplanetary shuttles and things like that.
That's
Maybe
what I
if
was
they're lucky,
thinking,
they might
but
have their hands on one. The only operation that would be big enough to have that kind of thing would be something like,
Right.
well, Bronze maybe, but if anything, it would be CP12, which
okay
no
now.
longer really exists in the capacity that you, well, used to, given, let's say they had a bit of a brain drain recently. Loss of leadership.
Do we still have access to her, or is she gone at this point?
She is detained by Inquisitor Severin.
Fuck. Damn you, Dan Severin. Well, unless we want to wager that the good Inquisitor would hate the Alpha Legion more than, or the Sons of Truth more than she hates us. I don't know if the criminal element is likely to bear fruit. I mean, stealing is on the table.
But if you are looking for something that is likely to be undetected, the Raider shuttles, if we can find one. You said that we did probably see one in the hangar. It just needed some time and work.
Mm-hmm.
Our best bet would
Exactly.
be the Raider shuttles. It would just need some time and work to get them functioning.
Do we have the time?
They've been patient this long. We don't know when they're going to enact their endgame. We don't know what their endgame is.
The more decisive and fast our actions, the better.
Out of curiosity, do I happen to have do I still have the doctored records and the undoctored records? This should be.
You don't.
And we're back to Doth.
Sorry, what? Oh, I do. Okay, cool. So just as a question, do I happen to can I cross-reference the list of shuttles and see if there's any of them that have been disappeared that we can use?
Actually, you can absolutely do that. And you have two options, turns out. There's a couple of ships that definitely go off the record, and a lot of them are untraceable. You wager they are either cast off into the void somewhere, or wherever Valyria's Corsairs put them, they didn't make it known. But there's two you could possibly get to. One is likely the ship that Lara is thinking of. A downed bulk lighter that's held up in Arcturus Spaceport, which, again, if you got your hands on and spent enough time getting all the bugs and kinks worked out of it, could definitely be flyable. You wager. Maybe. Probably. The other is impounded in Thrones Gate Spaceport.
I'm
In Thrones Gate, as it were. I think I'm going to. Well, if we want to stay off the record, there's always Lara's option, although I'm not sure if it's expedient. The other option may also take some work, but one of our missing ships is impounded in Thrones Gate. We're fairly close to it.
Farther than Arctis, but not unmanageable.
impounded means getting past Imperium forces
Well,
and stealing
that's
it.
the thing. It's certainly an option. I should mention, however, as a relevant consideration, besides just stealing it, which is totally an option, by the way. Don't let me tell you not to steal it. If you want to steal it, steal it. Crime is always an option. Not such a crime, however. It is impounded by the Arbitrace.
Mm-hmm.
Which means we could petition the governor for access.
Or one guard captain you happen to have on speed dial.
I was gonna say, could we ask is that Rennick's unit?
You couldn't immediately tell if it's Brannick's unit or division, given that you don't necessarily have outright access to that kind of information as far as deployments go. And it's more of again, it's more impounded by the Arbitrage as a whole, and sort of like who actually has jurisdiction over it is an internal matter. But if anyone could get you a handle on getting that ship without having to do some crime, probably be Brannick or the governor. Those are both solid options, honestly, friends. You're killing her with options, guys.
I guess
We
it
do have a
ends
do
with the
have a
politicians and the police.
We are owed for stopping the bombings.
and for discovering, well, perhaps what exactly is going on, although I'm not sure how much information we should be sharing.
We can just say as part of our investigation into the kidnappings, that it's an off-site, it's an off-planet location that we need the ship to get to.
Out of character, I think, remind me, Captain Rannoch was after who killed Orme Ut. So, we could mention that we had a run-in with the culprit who had flown out of space, and we needed to investigate where he went, or we have a lead on where they went. Sorry. In character, though. If I recall correctly, Captain Rannoch had asked us to update them on the status of Orme Ut's killer, and given that I was just sniped from from a decent distance, I imagine we could truthfully state that we have encountered the suspect and are attempting to tail them. It is an option. I'm not sure how well our petition may be viewed, but
Well, much as I dislike working with the Arbitrages on principle, this seems like it might be our most straightforward way to a shuttle.
I am also not against attempting to give some of the citizenry some honest work in potentially repairing the Raider shuttle. I do not know if they will. They may be, I don't know how well we can trust citizenry. Most of them appear to be good citizens of the Imperium. Unfortunately, it is too damnably difficult to tell.
I don't know if it's the style of this Alpha Legion to try to squeeze information or finesse information out of regular citizens, but if they did, it probably wouldn't be too hard. Most people around here doesn't require a lot to make them talk. Well, unless you're an Arbiter.
Whatever method we could pick, we should choose the one that gets us off planet and going towards their location the fastest. Time spent negotiating and working out business deals is time that allows them to further progress down whatever means they are trying to make. If the impounded ship and a strongly worded message to the arbiters is what's needed to get us a ship, I can provide one.
Sounds like we might want to call Captain Rannick then.
We are fortunate to be so
Yep.
close.
You don't mind if we kind of Luma wipe there, as I would love if we almost montage the actual call with Rannick, because I think that's not necessarily as important. Because what I think happens here is
Much as
you meet
Barris
up
would
Rannick.
love the chance
sorry, go
to
ahead.
tinker around with a Aldari raider ship.
Be fun, be kind of fun.
But
Don't worry, maybe we'll come back to it. You never know.
maybe
Anyway,
a job for another day.
that's true.
The log Paris.
Mm,
Hey, Barris
mhm.
knows his way around a cockpit. Please don't take that out of context.
Okay, no, I'm back. I'm sorry. So I think what I imagine happens here is you contact Rennick and you are able to I assume if as long as you pass the information that we require the use of the impounded ship and it is related to our furthering of the exploration of Orme-Un's killing, we are following a lead and we believe we have a suspect, but it's classified inquisitorial business. She doesn't know you're inquisitorial agents, so she's aware of how that operates. She basically says that she'll negotiate with whoever is in charge of the impound currently to get it transferred over to her team, and we'll meet you in Thrones Gate to hand off the ship to you all. So we'll Luma wipe from there. I only have two questions there. One, is there anything super urgently important you think you guys might attend to that we should check in with before we get to Thrones Gate Phase 4 as we get you to travel there? And B, do you take Sayla with you?
No. But before we go, I'm gonna teach Sayla how to suppress her psychic energy.
It's also wild. In fact, I think you probably end up having her travel with you outside of A Secundus and with you to another nearby town for a while so you can spend some time working with her. But after, I'm going to say probably a week or so in your maybe, no, sorry, after about maybe 3 or so days in your week travel towards Thrones Gate, you are able to sort of get her to the point where she can at least pass just beneath your basic perceptions. You have to actually start thinking, focusing on her in order to detect her psychic presence. Her soul is still rankled in the same way it was previously, but she's able to hold that closer to her skin, for lack of a better term.
Once she gets to that point, there. As long as you can keep that under control, they shouldn't be able to detect you. You'll be safe.
She stutters over several things for long moments as she looks at the slowly at the transport you're all boarding back onto. Am I gonna see you again?
Maybe.
You can see her look past you almost, as if seeing into a million different mirrors for a brief moment, trying to pluck at the different strands of the future to see if one of them might be pleasing enough to see you two meeting again. I hope so. Be safe.
Do my best.
She nods.
Help Sayla.
And you too, Laura. Thank you. As the transport slowly powers itself on and speeds away, she waves before disappearing off down an alleyway. to lose herself in the infinite urban diaspora that is the sprawls of K-2's waste. The group continues to pass on. Any other important points that need to be hit before we get to our moment in the spaceport? I've got one, but it's not super. We don't. It's not a huge deal. Don't worry about it. You know.
I got nothing come to mind, but now I'm concerned and interested.
Yeah, but that's kind of
I
rough.
love it. I love it when you both of those things, friends. Thrones Gate Spaceport is almost a city complex in and of itself. It is a massive hub of transport, so central to the planet that several businesses, residential districts, transport manufacturing hubs, and even you can see some micro mining complexes are almost built into the area around it. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of people call this massive area home. And it's as you're coming to the outskirts of it that you come across a site that is not too unfamiliar at your travels across K-2. A massive gathering of individuals, not in the thousands, but dozens certainly, maybe 100 or so. Disheveled masses, clad in various rag-like robes and other various accoutrements of imperial citizenry, are all gathered outside, clearly having just stopped from some travel. Pilgrims. A large group of traveling pilgrims.
The holy fine succor for the evening, I suppose.
You would suppose. But the strangest thing, as you move through the Goliath rock truck, the worn, downtrodden, nearly destroyed, and almost rebuilt vehicle that has carried you everywhere in your. It's been almost a few months for all of you on this planet at this point. You notice the strangest thing. The pilgrims certainly part. People don't want to be run over by a Goliath rock truck, it turns out. But they're not ignoring your truck as it passes through the throng. Quite the opposite, actually. Several of them are turning, supplicating, lowering themselves in front of the truck, pressing their foreheads into the sand, and crossing their hands in an imperial aquila. Some of them give jubilant praise. Some weep and sob. Some hold up injuries, wounds. All of them chant a name. Lady Aria. Lady
Okay.
Aria. Lady Aria.
What is this madness?
You have led several prayers across this planet, and the people have seen the situation here improve. It is not unreasonable that they would connect your faith, and faith thereby in you, to protection.
I am no Saint Catherine, no Sister Martha, nor Stella.
You are Lady Aria.
Stop the truck.
What are you gonna do?
They have asked me for succor.
All right. Go and greet your fan club then.
Truck grinds to a halt, slowly. The back ramp opens. Light pours in from the midday sun. Aria, you stand at the precipice. And all around you are a gathering of a dozen or so. They whisper things. There's so many of them, it's hard to hear it all, but you pick out pieces. Healer of the wounded. Shepherd of wayward souls. Warden of the people. Faith's shield. Ever bastion. They whisper these things of you.
You who are wounded, please step forth. I will do my best to treat you, but we must make way quickly, so please.
Several of them step forward. Some of them look slightly injured, bruises and the scrapes of a hard life working the mines of the Manufactura. None of them are placing themselves before you as if asking to be healed. Instead, hands go to your arms, your hands, your shoulders. And while it is not forceful, not a tug, they pull lightly, as if trying to lead you somewhere.
I think I look back at Zadkiel. And then let them pull me.
I'll have exited the truck and will be following the throngs because, yeah, mobs are scary even if they're for you.
The crowd lightly pulls. Not the same people dragging you along, but it's almost a wave as you step of your own volition through the crowd. Hands reach at you, grasp, and move you along, as if simply marveling in your existence around them, as if the mere aura of your faith heals. You are brought slowly through, coronade of people, to the baggage train. Several roughshod vehicles, worn of decades on the plains. One amongst them is bereft of human life. A full circle around as if no one dare step near it. And the moment is presented to you. A single figure amongst the crowd. Body clad in rough, ragged black robes. Hands holding a censer. Billowing smoke. And from its aft, dangling the Imperial Aquila. Slowly steps. Once. Twice. And a third time. Until he's in front of that vehicle. He turns to you, drops to his knees, and lowers his head to the floor.
Is it? Please rise.
He does not, but he does speak. Tales say that when the great ancestors fell from the heavens upon this world, which was given to us as penance for our transgressions against the God Emperor, this fell with them, a brilliant comet. There are those amongst even the faithful who believe this to be hearsay. In truth, none know where it came from, but we have kept it sacred, sacrosanct, as a fragment of his divinity, never knowing for what purpose. until you came from the heavens. Take it, and with it, continue to shield the people of this world, though we be so unworthy.
I think Aria is quiet for a long moment. Whether the God Emperor deems us worthy or not, something we cannot know till we meet our end. So, I will take the shield, but I would ask that you all join me in one song.
The crowd goes quiet, as if waiting for instruction.
And I think this starts as a slow, haunting, trembling hymn. Not a hymn in praise of the Emperor, but a hymn in praise of the people. Something uplifting, something she hasn't sung in more than a decade.
Takes a while, and the sound is dissonant. Not a clean, even choir, but a raucous, uneven, rising tone of a million different voices at once. Nonetheless, the song is true. And as you open the vehicle, as you lift high a tower shield, blessed and bedecked in the Emperor's glory, its side given over to a swoop eagle wing in mimicry of his Willa, you feel a resoluteness build in your soul and a roiling turmoil build in your stomach. And if y'all don't mind, I'm going to Luma wipe us one more time on the image of Arya standing there, still proud supplicant, and friends watching. As friends, we've still got us a ship to get our hands on. Sorry I derailed from that so hard. See? I got you your shield. You're welcome. And you devotees simultaneously. So, friends, you all, I want to hold on your reactions to what this is that just happened with Arya. Feels wrong because I want to let you all live in this space, but I'm working on an intuition that I think that might pay off in the long run. Just walk with me, if you will. So instead, we'll Luma wipe ourselves a bit ahead. I'm loving the transition today. I'm in a real Star Wars mood today, I guess. I don't know. We press ourselves to the middle of Throne Gate Spaceport. It's a multi-tiered, open, cylindrical building. The ceiling is given out to the heavens, but there are multi-tiered, almost skyscraper-like cylinders around you all, where different levels of ships are brought and parked and brought down to be ready to take back off. And on a landing bay, high of an elevator. You take an elevator to the sort of the top level of this massive spaceport complex. And on a side landing bay sits a small Arvis lighter. The light vehicle is big enough to transport at most maybe 8 or so people. Larger variants can hold entire squads, but given that you're carrying an Astartes, you wager you 4 plus maybe 1 or 2 extras is probably all you can squeeze. But the ship is powered down on the landing bay. And given a once over, Barris, you've seen enough ships and shuttles to know it's in functioning order. This is going to get you where you need to be. And in front of that shuttle sits 3 individuals. 2 Arbites guards, helmeted, auto shotguns held at their side in a ready stance. In the middle, helmet off and tucked under her arm, is the familiar face of Guard Captain Rannick, keeping a straight and even face as she looks at all of you. Good to see you're all alive.
Same to be said to you.
Certainly. Difficult times, this. A lot of people losing their heads. Apologies, that's bad timing.
I think Aria, like, just...
She actually takes a second and looks over at Aria, kind of sees that shield that you kind of like hefting, and then sees the plasma gun in Zadkiel's hand and the new stub cannon flung over, I assume like flung over Barris's back, and it's like, you all look tooled up for a fight.
We go to find one and end it.
Assume that means you know who popped Odin.
And who is guilty.
Had a bit of a dust up with him ourselves.
Well, means you ought to be this tooled up. I want you to know when to be fucked around easy with. You got a plan?
Do we?
I mean, we're getting on there and seeing the situation. So, there remain many unknowns not yet explored. We make contact as prepared as we can, but we must suspect the enemy has laid many a trap.
Well, I suppose recon by fire is always a method. And I assume wherever you're going, that means you already know what you're headed into. You require any kind of backup? I can send a few officers.
I'm afraid they've already managed to catch 2 of us in a trap, and Aria, I think there's still like a gaping hole in like the middle of her battle armor. Who looks down at it. I'd rather not risk the lives of your men.
Awful considerate of you, but do remember, keeping this planet safe is supposed to be our job. So bare minimum, I'd appreciate sharing any intel you have.
Towards Varus and Zadkiel.
Before anybody says anything, everybody make their check their Discord DMs.
Mm-hmm. I rolled 0 icons.
Oof.
I did not get any DMs, but okay.
Oh shit! I didn't press send. That's my bad. Or no, I sent it to the wrong person.
Okay, my insight skill is kind of bad.
That's fine. It's wasn't. I need you to roll.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry. I just confused the fuck out of my girlfriend.
Okay. That is a total of.
Babe, you go up,
plus
roll
3
it.
more icons. That's 3 6s plus 6. That's a 9. That's a 9 on Medicaid.
So 9, 9, 0, and Dan. What was your for you again? 6.
5.
For 7 total. 5. Okay, 5. Okay. So, So yeah, you're all. So you're all kind of looking around, talking with Rannick about plans. And I want to say that it's between Aria and Lara. You can just tell me which of the two you see. Which of the two you see something off first? Okay,
Laura.
Lara, you're feeling the weirdest thing. It doesn't make sense. You've felt so many strange psychic phenomena in all of your time. This one, though, this one's weird. You don't actively sniff around people's souls too much, I wager, because that would be a lot of effort on your psychic mind, but you can usually get an impression of at least vaguely what someone feels like. So it's weird to run into someone and their soul feels completely different.
Different as in this could be a completely different person.
Different. Super different. What that means to you, I mean, I don't want, I don't want to lead you in no direction specifically, but definitely different. It hit different. It definitely hits different.
That's an immediate red flag and in the Skype call. And it's Rennick, I'm assuming, that feels different.
Mm-hmm.
And say, tread carefully with what you say. Something is wrong with Rennick.
Aria, something about the way Lara says that makes you take another quick look over at the guard captain real quick. And again, your memory isn't eidetic. You're no Astartes, but you can get a good pretty handle of faces, usually. Which is why you're like, I don't know what you mean. That's frantic. It's literally the woman we talk to all the time. I mean, yeah, it seems like one of her scars has been healing a little bit weirdly, maybe. Maybe it wasn't as pink the last time you saw her. Come to think of it, maybe jawline's a little, just like a micrometer or two off. Like she got hit a little too hard, like it's just a little shifted, not sculpted just right.
Poking
And
into Rennick's head.
yeah, so you poke into Rannick's head, and the weirdest thing happens. It fucking hurts. It bounces like someone who is perfectly well trained theirself to have psychic defenses, or has had some kind of cognito hypno wiping to make themselves psychically resistant to attack. And you know, Arya, now that you're looking at Rannick with the pink scar and the weird jawline, you don't wager she always had a tattoo on her neck. That's not Rannick. It hits you like a fucking freight train. That's not Rannick. It looks just like her. It looks just like her. That's it's not Guard Captain Rannick.
No, actually, this might be the first. Is this the first time that Arya's actually tried to use the Skype call as an actual Skype call instead of talking out loud? But either way, maybe. But
Hello, Skype call.
so Arya is going to send a very directed thought and is a little doesn't know if she's doing it right, but is this very loud, clamorous thought that's just sort of bouncing around. I think it starts off as just sort of like these observations of just like, hey, this isn't right. The build is a little bit off. What's wrong with the face? This isn't Rennick. And it's just sort of like this really loud sort of thought and just Lara is. Am I going crazy or is that not Captain Rennick?
The same way it reverberated across Arya's thoughts, it bangs for all of you. Just like a loud thought across the entirety of the Skype call, echoing across the corners of all of your brains. Not
It's
Rannick,
not
not Rannick,
Rannick.
not Rannick. Zadkiel, because you would have the reflexes to notice this the most. Since it's been a couple of seconds of everyone just staring awkwardly back and forth as the Skype call goes off, you see the trigger finger on one of those guards itch just a little bit.
So I heard this. I am aware that these are imposters and that guard is potentially brandishing a weapon.
Like, he's holding it like this. You just saw that. Just the briefest muscle itch.
Well, the answer is simple. I'm going to ask if this is going to be a mechanic or narrative thing, because I'd love to show to the class once again the effects of hot plasma being launched at a high velocity
Friends,
on the human biology.
I'm gonna make this so much simpler for you. There are 2 guards plus Rannick. No rolling. This is a fun narrative moment. Tell me how the 4 of you dispatch these 3 guards before they get a chance to drop on you.
So,
Just tell me what happens. All of you. Just go make it sound fucking great.
yeah, I'll kick it off. The Sky Call as that awkward silence is just we move, and then in an instant, a plasma shot is fired off and collides with through and just burns into that guard's armor, that Arbitrate's armor, just sinking in and probably leaving just a crater, if not an outright hole, in whatever remains of their fetid flesh and body.
That was the wrong laser sound, but okay, I'll take it.
No, it's not fully charged. I'm sorry, but it still works. But yeah, just a big.
Yeah, you just put a round straight through the middle, like literally burning hot rifle, plastic and flesh and armor and bone and a hole are in the middle of this guard as he just inhales a breath he doesn't have lungs anymore to take in. In this microsecond, what else happens?
Can I attempt? Oh wait, we're not rolling.
No, roll.
Yes, roll.
Just do it. Just do it.
Do it. Just say
Do
you
it, Barris.
Barris is just gonna quick draw his pistol and headshot the other guard.
Literally raise you. I imagine you cool ass fucking death rattle spin, pistol aimed, bang through the eyelids. No, just straight through. Comes out the back, like doesn't even go through. You hear a ringing like bell sound as the bullet hits the back of the helmet. That guard just goes stop it. Next microsecond. What else happens?
Alright, you want to go?
Go for it, Aria.
Alright. I was debating. But I think Tower Shield in hand, Arya just sort of bursts into movement. I imagine she's probably also the closest to Rennick right now, and just clocks her right in the jaw, like right underneath where the tattoo is. So it's like right on display. Hard as hard as she can.
The jaw comes off. Like you swing and there isn't a jaw left. Just the mess of blood and gore and her upper teeth as she sputters out and just like crashes at her own throat, staring at you. And as she falls over, her tongue sputtering, the guards are already dropping dead. You would swear the last thing her choked, gurgled, only half a jaw sputters out is a dangerous.
I didn't understand a single word that you just
Hydra
said. But...
Dominus. Well, I don't need to understand because it was heresy.
Mhm.
Oh.
I also don't understand. Didn't understand what they said.
Heresy.
Turk had it right. It was in fact
Oh.
Hydra Dominatus.
Okay.
Oh, I guess moving in secret is not in the cards. Boris, you would you happen to know how to search for any communication devices?
I mean, do you want me? When you say know how to search,
Like Aria, I think is like already looking for like the most obvious places for
right?
communication since you know we got caught, right?
Like
Yeah,
on the persons.
Yeah.
I guess I'd have seen like a bug or two in my like, I'd have been or I'd have seen a wire or a bug or two in my time.
Like Aria only knows like the most common places like a sister would put one or an inquisitor might stash one. So she's just sort of, like going through and just trying to search.
I'll say, uh, with the two of you together, with the two of you looking together, you're able to easily just search through. I'd say like easily
Oh.
like the remainder of like Rannick's body and the guards.
Well, I rolled a
And
7 on investigation, so if that
Mhm.
helps.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You find like their standard squad communicators that like Arbite have to communicate with each other. You don't find anything else aside from that, and you don't wager those go far enough to like get a signal up in the atmosphere or in space. So if there's no chance they were like relaying this combo to the Sons of Truth. However, the fact that they are here means that either Rannick was already compromised from who knows how long ago, or that the plan was always just to keep you guys delayed, whether it was they know you're coming or not. You do find yourself realizing something though as you're looking at the bodies. Yeah, you are pretty sure you clocked it, Arya. Now that you're looking at the like, you literally have to like dig your hands up under like the damaged jaw of the corpse of not Rannick. I'm fucking playing bite marks now. You start to recognize there are clear signs of really intense, really precise facial reconstruction surgery. All kinds of genetic and physical modifications and alterations. And I mean, Laura, you wager since you know you can see this happening. Whoever did this to whatever person this person used to be likely also put some kind of genome mind wiping to have them be resistant to psychic shock in case they were captured. Which I would say probably leads you all to a pretty straightforward conclusion. If anybody needs me to spell it out, I will. But it seems like the Sons of Truth are capable of replacing people with perfect copies of them. There's no way to know if any person you've talked to in the past or talked to in the future is themselves or one of their agents. Or maybe they always were. I suppose, in the grand scheme of that, none of that really matters now. Because in front of you is a charged, fueled, powered down space lighter. And given that you just murdered 3 people in broad daylight, you probably don't want to be seeing them too much longer before you take off.
Make an excellent point. I begin making my way onto the ship.
I'll follow suit.
Go.
Well, nothing you can do for Aria will follow last, I guess.
You step yourselves onto the Arvis lighter. It's single control seat, ready. Which of you is going to fly it? Well, that's up to you to figure out. Barris then. You sit yourself in the control console, flick on several engine switches and fuel thrust lights to send Prometheum fuel pumping through the large engines that are going to send you up into the heavens. They begin to whir to life loudly. And as you all steady yourselves, you begin to realize now the full shape of the thing. The multi-headed Hydra which has unraveled itself all around you. The many ways it has coiled itself into every corner of the places you step on this planet. The way it seems to know everything you will do before even you do. You go now, acolytes, to confront that great peril, to confront the Sons of Truth. May the God Emperor watch over your souls. I've been Foxy. This has been the cast, and we have been by a shadow piece.